Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Most of us walk around carrying this really heavy, honestly exhausting assumption. We think that if we want to make a meaningful change in our lives, we absolutely have to dedicate massive amounts of time to it. We convince ourselves, right, that we need these huge, uninterrupted, perfectly clear hours every single day just to learn a new skill, get in shape, build a business, or heck, finally conquer that dusty stack of books sitting on the nightstand. But today, we're going to look at the data and the psychology behind why that simply isn't true. As you'll see, massive change doesn't actually require massive time. Instead, it relies on a surprisingly simple, highly effective framework, the 30-minute rule. So think about a massive goal you've had in the back of your mind for years. Maybe it's, writing a novel or learning a completely new language. Why is it that these massive, intimidating goals almost always result in us avoiding the very first step altogether? Well, it's because human beings are literally wired to feel easily overwhelmed. When we look at a huge ambition, our brain instinctively focuses on the entirety of the journey instead of just the next step right in front of us. It's like building a business from scratch feels utterly impossible when you're just looking up at the peak of the mountain. So quite naturally, we just freeze at base camp. We simply never start. And naturally, when we freeze, the rationalizations start rolling in. I guarantee you've said at least one of these to yourself. I'll start working out when I have more time, or I'll finally start writing when life slows down. Or my personal favorite, I'll get to it next month, which, let's be honest, is historically always the busiest month in human history, right? This right here is what psychologists actually call the all or nothing trap. We adopt this extreme mindset where we truly believe that if we can't dedicate, say, 3 flawless hours to a task, well, it's just not worth doing at all. But here's the cold hard reality. Life rarely becomes less busy. The calendar rarely just magically clears up. We just keep waiting for the perfect conditions, but the perfect time rarely arrives. And what's incredibly dangerous about this whole mindset is that waiting around for the stars to perfectly align doesn't just delay our progress, it actually becomes a habit in itself. We become habitually trapped in this state of permanent postponement. We stay stuck because our eyes are entirely fixed on that impossibly distant finish line, all while these perfectly good, highly usable moments right in front of us just kind of slip away. Now, what's really interesting here is the introduction of our ultimate remedy to this paralysis. It's surprisingly simple: 30. Just 30 minutes. When we realize that big goals feel too intimidating, we need a way to break that spell. And almost anyone, literally no matter how chaotic their schedule is, can find 30 minutes in their day. Suddenly, the barrier to entry shrinks from this massive, unscalable mountain to basically a tiny speed bump. It's an incredibly small barrier that almost anyone can step right over without even breaking a sweat. But to truly appreciate this, we have to look at how we currently treat a half hour. We let 30 minutes slip away entirely unnoticed every single day. A quick social media doom scroll, watching a few random videos, checking endless group chats, it feels totally insignificant, right? But here is the flip side. If 30 wasted minutes can accumulate so easily in the background of our lives, 30 productive minutes of focused action can accumulate in exactly the same way. We just have to consciously choose to invest that exact same block of time. Let's look at how this builds, because the undeniable math of small progress is an absolute emotional relief. Watch this. Just 30 minutes a day scales up to 3.5 hours a week. Keep going, and suddenly you have 15 focused hours a month. Maintain that, and you are looking at over 180 hours in a single year. The math is undisputed. It scales incredibly fast. You don't need to find some hidden 6-hour block in your weekend. You just need that one small daily deposit, and the accumulation basically does all the heavy lifting for you. So what can you actually do with 180 hours? Well, a lot. You could read multiple books cover to cover. You could learn highly valuable career skills, drastically transform your physical fitness, or finally build that side project you've been dreaming about. You can study entirely new subjects and create truly meaningful work. Most people drastically underestimate what consistency can produce. They think they need dramatic, sweeping leaps. But this proves that small, daily consistency easily yields monumental, life-changing results. And this brings us to a really fundamental rule of human performance. Consistency always beats intensity. Always. The person who tries to grind for 6 intense hours once in a while usually relies heavily on fleeting bursts of energy. They burn out and almost always quit when things get tough. But a small, 30-minute daily habit, that survives a bad day. When you're tired, stressed, or entirely uninspired, you can still push through 30 minutes. That's exactly why the person who chips away at it daily will almost always outperform the intense sprinter over the long run. So the crucial point here is how we completely misunderstand motivation. Most people genuinely believe motivation is this spark that creates action. They sit around waiting to feel inspired before they begin. But the psychology shows us it's actually the exact opposite. Motivation is often the result of action, not the prerequisite for it. Once you just sit down and begin working, momentum develops naturally. The 30-minute rule is a total game changer because it removes the enormous pressure of waiting for a magical burst of inspiration. You just start your timer and the motivation actually follows. Of course, there is a catch, and it's called the compound effect. Improvement rarely feels dramatic in the beginning. Step 1 is invisible progress. One study session or one workout won't noticeably change your life, and the first few weeks are going to feel entirely ordinary. And honestly, this is where most people quit because the effort seems wasted. But if you push into step 2, slow accumulation, every action adds another layer. Like compound interest, it builds quietly, until finally step 3 hits, sudden acceleration. The results arrive slowly at first, and then suddenly all at once. You just have to remain patient enough during that invisible phase to get there. And this brilliantly illustrates our crescendo. The biggest hidden advantage of dedicating 30 minutes a day to something isn't just about output or productivity. It's a profound, fundamental psychological shift in who you are. Your habits begin shaping your identity. When you consistently show up, even for just a half hour, you stop being someone who just wants to do a thing, and you actually become the type of person who does the thing. You literally transform your self-image. By committing to this simple framework, you suddenly become someone who reads. You become someone who learns, someone who trains, someone who creates. And most importantly, you become someone who actually follows through on their promises to themselves. And once your identity shifts, it heavily influences all of your future behavior. You no longer have to force yourself to do the work, because doing the work is simply just who you are now. It's incredibly empowering. To make this shift, we need to completely change the questions we ask ourselves. Stop staring at the ceiling and asking, how can I completely change my life? That overwhelming big picture question causes instant paralysis. You literally can't answer it. Instead, ask a small, empowering question. What can I do for 30 focused minutes today? Big questions create overwhelm. Small questions naturally create immediate, tangible action. So, let's take a moment right now. Really think about your own life. What goal have you been postponing? What is that one ambition, that one project, or that one skill you've continually pushed off until things slow down? I want you to really hold that goal in your mind. Because that goal, it doesn't need a perfectly clear schedule to become a reality. It just needs a tiny sliver of your day. Now let's get ruthlessly honest with ourselves. Where are you already wasting 30 minutes? We all have these hidden pockets of wasted time. Is it hitting the snooze button 3 times every morning? Is it falling down a video rabbit hole on your lunch break? Is it staring blankly at the fridge after dinner? Find those 30 minutes. They're already there, hiding right in plain sight, just waiting to be repurposed for that exact goal you just thought of. I'll leave you with this final thought. What would actually happen if you committed to 30 minutes every single day for the next 6 months? Just imagine who you could be. Extraordinary lives aren't built through overnight breakthroughs or secret strategies. They're built simply through ordinary, consistent actions repeated day after day. 30 minutes might not change your life today or even tomorrow, but months from now, it could change absolutely everything. So, what are you going to do with your next 30 minutes?